/World S007 Mount Olympus / What would happen if Aphrodite made the wrong wish? * I'm tired of you. Theory Part 1. She was the goddess of love and had love for everyone, but there was only one person, or rather one god, who irritated her just by his presence, and worst of all, that god was her husband Hephaestus. She tried by all means to make her husband understand that she would never love him. She slept with all the brothers of Hephaestus, she slept with any god, she slept with several mortals. And even with all that, her husband continued to try to conquer her. She even went so far as to make her husband care for and raise children that were not his own and later take them away from him. She, of course, knew she was cruel to her husband and sometimes went overboard, like the time she had an orgy in her own workshop and Hephaestus was tied up to watch a vile act by his wife. There's also when she tricked Harmonia with bad things about Hephaestus to make her stay away, further destroying Hephaestus' heart. Aphrodite was clutching her head in frustration. What else can I do to make that idiot understand that I don't love him? How can he think that the most beautiful goddess could be with that excuse of an ugly and incompetent god? Aphrodite secretly turned to Athena's library. Well, one of these many books must be the key to getting rid of that ugly thing. I knew you don't love Hephaestus, but to go to the extreme of invading my library and seeking knowledge to make it vanish seems excessive to me. Aphrodite didn't need to turn around to know it was Athena. Don't bother, Athena, you don't have to put up with that ugly guy every day. Put yourself in my place and help me get rid of him. Ugh, okay, but are you sure about this? He may be ugly, but he is the only god who will truly love you for who you are and not for how you look. Aphrodite made an annoyed snort. Tsh, like I care that he loves me. They continued searching for almost 1 week until they found something that might work. Athena read the title of the book, A Wish Will Be Fulfilled But Your Heart Will Suffer. Aphrodite snatched the book from him and began to read. With a simple incantation you will summon a being from another world, but be careful, your wish will be fulfilled but that being will condemn you and your heart will suffer. Athena was going to warn her that that book brought her a bad feeling, but Aphrodite disappeared in pink smoke. Athena shook her head. Silly goddess. I hope you don't come to me when things don't go well. Aphrodite had a big smile. She didn't wait a second and she started doing the ritual. The last step is to put some of her icer. She cut her wrist and her room started to light up. When he opened his eyes he was amazed because now he was in another place. Hello, there is someone there. She received no response, but when she turned she saw a being larger than the Titans themselves. Aphrodite with some nerve asked, "Hello, you are the one who will fulfill my wish." The being remained silent for a moment. I am everything and in a way I am also you. I see that you want a wish. I can do it, but I advise you not to ask for it. Aphrodite frowned. I don't care what it costs me, I want you to grant my wish. Answer, can you do it or not? I can do it, make your wish and you will get it. Aphrodite thought about it for a while. And she was between asking never to marry Hephaestus or for Hephaestus to be a perfect god like all the gods. With that in mind she decided and spoke, I want our wedding to be called off and be free from that ugly and disgusting thing. The being gave a sigh when he saw what an idiot the goddess was. The colossal being raised its hand and snapped its fingers. Aphrodite was blinded by a light and when she opened her eyes she could see that she was in her temple. She noticed that there was less stuff in her temple. How strange, where are my beautiful dresses and where are my beautiful jewels? That seemed strange to the goddess and she set out to go to the temple of Hephaestus, to check if she was really not married to him. When she walked around Olympus she heard people talking about her. But she dismissed the idea because they are lesser gods and to her they were only insects in her eyes. She arrived at Hephaestus' workshop but there was nothing, absolutely nothing. She would never admit it but she was a little worried. She went to the temple of Athena and knocked on the door. After a while, the goddess of wisdom came out looking at her with a raised eyebrow. I wasn't expecting your arrival, Aphrodite, tell me quickly what you need, I'm taking care of my nephew. Aphrodite was somewhat curious, because Athena had never cared for any of her nephews. She was going to ask until she remembered why she was looking for her. One doubt, you know where Hephaestus is? She looked at me with narrowed eyes and replied, I don't know why you're asking me that. But you already lost your chance and it's obvious that it would be in Hephaestus' temple or this one in his own temple. Without being able to respond, Athena closed the door abruptly. Opportunity. As if she was desperate to be with that ugly god. Although I didn't remember Hephaestus having his own temple. He just made a temple that was ours that symbolized our marriage, although now that I remember I never let him into our temple. She went in search of Hephaestus' temple. And she got a surprise. Aphrodite in disbelief, but what the fuck? This is a mansion. She calmed down and went to knock on the door. I'm coming, was Hephaestus' cheerful voice. When the door opened, Hephaestus' smile disappeared, replaced by a serious face. What do you want, bitch? It was the response of an angry Hephaestus. Aphrodite, somewhat nervous, responded, Hey. You see. I wanted to know where my husband Hephaestus is. Aphrodite didn't know it, but she made a terrible mistake. She only realized it when she looked at the fist inches away from her face, and then she saw everything dark. Before she fainted, she only saw the face of a furious Hephaestus. My wish came true. Theory Part 2. His head hurt. Ouch ouch, what the fuck step. When she opened her eyes, she could see her favorite daughter, although it was a little different from her. She had red hair. Hello my girl, may I know how mommy got here? She could see how her daughter looked at her in surprise, and then she looked at her with an annoyed face. Lady Aphrodite, I would appreciate it if you would not speak to me with such familiarity. And I am not her daughter, and you are not my mother. My mother is Hestia. But that's impossible. She's a virgin goddess. Puff ha 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 ha. She watched as Harmonia laughed loudly and clutched her stomach. Then she wiped away a tear. She calmed down and spoke, since when did you become a comedian? If I didn't know better, I'd say you were from another world. Since in this one my mother stopped being a virgin 2,000 years ago. That information surprised Aphrodite and she got a little scared, but she asked the question. Can you tell me who she married? She lifted the man without interest and answered, well, she married my father Hephaestus. As I see that you are better now, I'll go. Wait! Don't go, Harmonia. She stops and looks at her confused. It seems to me that you need to rest because you are delirious. First of all, my name is not Harmonia, my name is Laurette, and secondly, no one here has that name. Harmonia, my baby, my baby. There is no. She was hyperventilating, she couldn't breathe. Tears were coming out of her eyes, and it was there when she saw familiar faces entering her temple, her sons, Phobos, and Deimos. She ran to embrace them, but she was pushed abruptly to the ground. Phobos with an annoyed face, what do you think you're doing, mother? We only passed this way by order of Zeus. Deimos just frowned. He said nothing and walked away with his brother, leaving alone a crying goddess who did not understand anything. She wiped her tears and turned to the only goddess who could give her an answer. Knock knock knock. TSH, who is interrupting at this hour? Those were the annoying words of Athena, who held in her arms a red-haired boy reading a book. She along with the boy went to see who it was. Seeing the goddess, her first thought was to close the door, but seeing her in a sea of tears, she let it pass. Don't stay outside, come in, but when you calm down I want you to leave. Aphrodite nodded and headed for a room. She looked at a happy Athena playing with a child and couldn't help but feel angry. That child belonged to her husband and was not a child conceived by her. In her eyes, that child was a bastard. Aphrodite, you better look at my nephew in a better way or I'll throw you out of here. Aphrodite sighed and calmed down. I want you to help me get back to my world. Athena looked at her with a face of not understanding anything. Explain yourself better, Aphrodite. Because I don't know what you're talking about. Aphrodite sighed, I am not from this world. I come from a world where I married Hephaestus, but I never loved him, and I sought your help to change that. I summoned another being with the help of a book of yours and my wish was fulfilled. The 5-year-old stopped reading and replied, that explains your strange behavior. The madwoman I know would be about to attack me out of simple envy and jealousy. But now that you see that this world, without my father, is not so good, you want to return to your world. Aphrodite was surprised, but you are small, how can you understand all this? Athena happily hugged the little one. It's because this little one is my godson. And I guess also because he is the god of intelligence. I introduce myself, my name is Boros, and tell me, goddess, why you do not want my father in your other world. Because in this one your version is desperate to be with my father. Aphrodite answered with sorrow, because he is ugly. Everyone was silent for a while. Little Boros got off Athena's lap and left the temple. But not before saying, "Stupid vain woman." Aphrodite frowned. What did that little bastard think he was doing? She was about to continue bad-mouthing the child, but was interrupted when she was grabbed by the neck by a furious Athena. "Finish your sentence, Aphrodite, and believe me, I won't hesitate to make you suffer." Aphrodite was going to reply, but she calmed down. "It's all right." Athena turned back to her seat and sat down. "Well, Aphrodite, tell me why you have come here." "I want you to help me get back to my world." Athena thought about it for a while. "Okay, fine, but first tell me how you treated Hephaestus from the other world. And I only want the truth if I sense a lie in you. Forget that I will help you." Aphrodite had to tell him everything. Athena did not attack her because she realized she was not the only one listening. When Aphrodite finished speaking, someone was heard clapping sarcastically. "I'm glad you cheated on me before our wedding. I would have certainly gone through the same hell." Aphrodite at first was surprised to see Hestia behind her, but blushed at the sight of a handsome red-haired god. But when she heard his words, she was in complete shock. "Hephaestus, you." Those were the words of a bewildered Aphrodite. For now that she could see well, she looked like her husband Hephaestus, but she no longer had the scars and deformities, just as her skin looked flawless and her leg was healthy. Hephaestus was silent for a moment and replied, "Yes, it's me, Hephaestus. I knew you were trash, but luckily my beautiful queen saved me from you." After saying this, Hephaestus pulled a happy Hestia, and they shared a kiss full of love and passion. Hestia was delighted. She never thought she would be so happy in her life. When she decided to support Hephaestus after her failed wedding, she never expected to find her soulmate, and he gave her something she always wanted, and that was a perfect and loving family. After the kiss, Hestia looked at Aphrodite and smiled. "Thank you. I guess the change in the story is because of you. Even though I loathe you, I also thank you. Thanks to you I am really happy." She touched her belly, indicating that they were expecting another child. With nothing more to say, Hephaestus and Hestia left the place. When Aphrodite saw them leave, she collapsed on the ground in a sea of tears. "I felt so much love. I had never felt so much love in a couple." More tears came out. Please, Athena, help me to come back." Athena gave a long sigh and agreed to help her, just in the hope of getting rid of her. After a while she took the same book and got ready to activate the spell, but first she asked Athena, "Hey, do you know why in this world I never had a daughter?" Athena remained silent, but she saw Aphrodite's pleading eyes and answered, "It was because Us told you to abandon them or kill them or give them to someone to take care of them." Aphrodite gave him a grateful smile and knew Us didn't deserve her heart. "I know I've only been here 1 week and you probably hate me, but I want to tell you, thank you for helping me, Athena. I really appreciate it. You're a great friend. I, Aphrodite, wish with all my heart to return to Hephaestus and for him to be happy. Every action has a reaction." Theory Part 3. The spell activated and a light blinded the sight of both goddesses, and when Aphrodite could see, she observed that she was still in the same place. She fell to her knees and tears came out of her eyes, because it didn't work, because she hit the ground and damaged her hand a bit. Athena approached her and touched her shoulder. "Don't worry, even I thought the book was fake. It's clear that a being capable of fulfilling a wish is impossible. Just tell Queen Hera to grant you a divorce from Hephaestus." Aphrodite remained silent, and then she understood. She was already in his world. A beautiful smile appeared on her face, and she embraced Athena with great joy. When she was about to leave, a thunderclap was heard. Because just now I was going to look for my husband." Everyone gathered, and the first to speak was Hera. "Today, I have called this meeting. Well then, for the first time in my entire life I will enforce a divorce." That scared Aphrodite a little, but then she calmed down. Her husband loved her so much that he never asked her for a divorce. Hera proceeded to speak. "I do this as a favor to my older sister who surprisingly asked for my hand and blessing to marry him." All the gods were surprised, and the most surprised is Aphrodite. She also noticed the absence of Hephaestus. Aphrodite raises her hand, and the queen gestures with her hand for her to speak. "Queen, do you know where my husband is?" Everyone looked at her in disbelief because she had never called Hephaestus her husband. The Queen of Olympus could see that Aphrodite wanted to make things right with her son, but she knew that it was too late. "I'm sorry, Aphrodite, from today on Hephaestus will no longer be your husband." That statement made Aphrodite pale. She wanted to make things right with her husband, but fate wanted to mock her. The door of the room opened and Hephaestus and Hestia appeared. They both looked so happy, the love they had for each other was obvious, but Aphrodite still did not accept what was happening. She got up from her seat and without controlling her fury, she approached Hephaestus. "Happy Hephaestus, hey, Aphrodite, you can finally be free." Plus, it was the slap that threw Hephaestus to the ground. "Angry Aphrodite, who do you think you are to ask me for a divorce? You are my husband. Do you really think anyone would love such an ugly thing as you? Even your mother hates you and tried to kill you by throwing you from Olympus. You're nothing but a piece of trash. A fucking cunt." She was about to say more hurtful things until Hestia herself gave her a slap that brought her to her senses. She looked at her husband on the floor with a red face, but what hurt her the most was seeing her husband's teary eyes. Aphrodite covered her mouth from the shock of what she had said. "Hephi, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you." She took a step forward, and Hephaestus covered his face from fear. "Please stop. Sniff sniff, what more do you want from me? I did my best to make you love me. But I only suffered mistreatment, abuse, and you always looked for ways to hurt me. Tell me, what else do you want from me? I know I'm horrible, I don't need someone to tell me that. Even if Hestia acts to make me happy, I'd rather live in an illusion than live with you." Aphrodite was about to hug him, but a punch in the stomach pushed the goddess away. Hestia quickly wrapped her arms around Hephaestus. She spoke in a soothing voice, "Hephaestus, I have already told you, I am not acting, and if I had to choose to live forever with someone, I would do it with you." Hephaestus looked up and looked at Hestia. He with tears wanted to know desperately and asked her, You would really live forever with me?" She smiles at him and without thinking kisses him softly. She, a little blushing, gave him another smile and answered, "Believe me, from today until my last breath I will be by your side." Then she looked seriously at the others. "Hephaestus and I are going on a journey. As no one helped you, I will look for a way to cure your leg and your other injuries. And when everything is well, I will return for my wedding." Without further words they disappeared. So 5 years went by where the couple traveled in all the pantheons, and although the Greeks were not welcome, none had a problem in letting Hephaestus and Hestia be in their pantheons. They had adventures, many dates, and their love only grew. Hestia was hesitant at first, but as the days went by her love grew so much that she couldn't help but have a smile that showed how happy she was with Hephaestus. So time passed, and after 5 years, they returned. Everyone was surprised because Hephaestus was now undoubtedly the most beautiful god. That attracted lustful glances from the goddesses, but nothing that a Hestia with her gaze reflecting death in pure agony did not turn back the goddesses' attempts. The wedding took place and Aphrodite, to avoid trouble, locked herself in her room. Aphrodite was on the floor and began to cry when the wedding was over. "Why is this happening to me? I thought I might have a chance." She gritted her teeth and screamed in frustration. "Ugh, Grey." The scene changed and Aphrodite saw the entity fulfilling her wishes. Aphrodite shouted in annoyance, "This is all your fault? Respond, what have you done?" The being with a deep voice replies, "I warned you, but you didn't listen to me. Every time you ask for something you have to give something in return. When you wished not to marry Hephaestus, then you created a world in which you cheated on him, but not after the wedding but before. He caught you and you broke his heart. He thought of ending his life, but Hestia was there for him, and from that came the love that you would never give to Hephaestus. Then when you wanted to return to your original world and go back to Hephaestus and make him happy, your wish was fulfilled as you returned to the world where you had Hephaestus as your husband, but he was not happy with you and Hestia always helped him to bear the pain you caused. Since your first deception, Hestia supported him and little by little she began to feel something for him." A defeated Aphrodite remained silent. She reflected, and this time things would be done the right way. She would be better. She would love Hephaestus no matter what. Now it only remained to wait what the price to pay would be. She looked at the being in front of her and spoke, "I want to restart the world, and this time make things right." End of story. Asterisk. Thank you very much. We are already more than 600 subscribers on YouTube. Asterisk. Remember that my story is to entertain. The characters are not faithful to mythological tales or anime. Asterisk. You can support me by following me on Wattpad or subscribing on my YouTube channel. Asterisk. You can support me monetarily to my PayPal bunmay22@gmail.com.